we've had very insightful discussions, insightful presentations from our esteemed panelists and speakers, really looking at the urgent measures needed to advance research and practices in sustainable research, management, in climate change adaptation and mitigation, and generally resilient agroforestry ecosystems. We are gathered here for another 3 days after this, and we look forward to the conversations. But today, it's really a special day as we bring this global event here in Kigali. And without further ado, I would like to welcome our first speaker during this official opening of the 6th Congress. I would like to welcome Dr. Eliane Ubadijoro to share remarks with us. If you could please give her a warm welcome as she gets onto the stage. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's such a pleasure to be here with all of you here in Kigali. Honorable Dr. Arakwi Bernadette, Minister of Environment, former Prime Minister Hailemariam Desalegn, distinguished speakers and delegates, ladies and gentlemen. Muraho neza mwese. Mwiriwe neza kandi murakaza neza mu nteko mpuzamahanga ya gatandatu ku buhinzi bubangikanye ibiti n'imyaka. Good afternoon and welcome to the 6th World Agroforestry Congress. It is a profound privilege to gather here in Kigali at a time when the world urgently needs what agroforestry offers. Sheikh gave us a wonderful keynote to really energize us in what we all need to do together. What is needed is a pathway that restores balance between people and nature, between what we take and what we give back, between the financial systems that we're so dependent on and the prosperity and sustainability we all want. When I look around the room, I see more than participants. I see partners, I see possibility, I see hope. Hope grounded in science, collaboration, and action. We come together at a defining moment for humanity. Our planet faces immense pressure from climate change, biodiversity loss, land degradation, and widening inequalities. Yet, across the world, farmers and communities are showing that solutions already exist. Agroforestry is one of the most powerful of these solutions. It regenerates soil, secures water, restores biodiversity, captures carbon, and strengthens livelihoods. But promise alone is not enough. For agroforestry to deliver at scale, we must bridge the gap between knowledge and practice. We must move from models to mainstream, from pilots to whole landscapes, from ideas to tangible impact. Today, I'd like to reflect on the 3 pillars that define our shared work: people, planet, and prosperity. And what will it take to act boldly and without delay? First, people. Agroforestry begins and ends with people, from the farmers who nurture the land to the consumers whose choices sustain us. It connects those who grow, those who trade, those who invest, reminding us that our well-being is interdependent. Our task is to make this connection equitable and empowering. That means ensuring fair value along the chain, from land tenure and access to finance to how markets reward sustainable production. It means elevating the voices of those too often unheard, women, youth, and indigenous leaders, and building upon their ideas, innovations, and lived experiences. Because agroforestry doesn't succeed through instruction, it thrives through partnership. When science, policy, business, and community work as equals towards our shared purpose. Second, planet. Trees anchor our landscapes, sustaining the balance of soil, water, and climate, of which all life depends. We need science that guides practice and policy that enables change, from choosing the right tree for the right place, to shaping agroecological systems that endure, to valuing the ecosystem services they provide. Nature's contribution must be recognized, rewarded, and protected. Third, prosperity. For agroforestry to scale, it must make economic sense. Farmers need viable incomes. Value chains must work efficiently and fairly. Markets should reward sustainability instead of depletion. This requires innovation in finance, payments for ecosystem services, blended financing, subsidy reform, and risk-sharing mechanisms. Agroforestry should not be a burden or a gamble. It must be a pathway for shared prosperity. The road ahead will not be simple. We face fragmented policies, weak incentives, limited capacity, and competing land demands. But these challenges also open opportunities to innovate, to strengthen partnerships, and to design systems that work better for people and for nature. So my call to us all is simple. Let us integrate across disciplines and scales. Let us innovate with smart finance, digital insights, and locally grounded knowledge. Let us partner with trust, humility, and shared purpose. And let us measure progress by the lives we improve, the landscapes we restore, and the resilience we build. At this defining moment, the first time the World Congress is held in Africa. Patrick's saying the second time. Ooh. I'm proud to announce the creation of the African Agroforestry Association. This new platform will unite researchers, practitioners, farmers, policymakers, civil society, and private sectors actors under one shared vision, accelerating innovation, knowledge exchange, and regional leadership in agroforestry. Here in Rwanda, we stand at a unique turning point. The Congress can lay the foundation for African leadership on global issues, bringing forward priorities that will shape future gatherings and influence the world's approach to restoration. And as we look ahead, we are honored that Africa will continue to host a global forestry and agroforestry community, including at the IUFRO World Congress in 2029, hosted by the government of Kenya. Together, these moments signal a new era of African leadership and collaboration. The future we envision is within our reach. This Congress here in Rwanda can bring it to life. Your ideas, your collaborations, and your courage to act will determine what happens next. To the government of Rwanda, to the global scientific community, and to all who champion agroforestry, thank you for your leadership, your partnership, and your commitment. Together, let us make this Congress a turning point, one that drives action for people, for the planet, and for shared prosperity. May the days ahead spark bold ideas, enduring partnerships, and tangible change for generations to come. Murakoze cyane. Thank you. Asante sana. Merci beaucoup.
Another round of applause for Dr. Balitoro. Very invigorating speech, much needed on this first day of the 6th World Congress on Agroforestry. Without further ado, I'd like to call on the next speaker. And if you could help me welcome Patrick Worms, President of the International Union for Agroforestry.
Thank you so very much. You have no idea what a pleasure it is for me to stand here today and to commend the fantastic work that our Rwandan hosts have done in preparing this Congress, in welcoming this Congress, and in preparing this fantastic opening ceremony. This is the 6th World Congress in Agroforestry, and despite not being a scientist, I have been privileged to attend 4 of them. This is agroforestry coming home to its birthplace. Agroforestry as a modern science was born in Africa. Agroforestry as a practice is still most prevalent in Africa. And while agroforestry as a congress has traveled around the world, it is now coming home, and I'm glad it is doing. Eliane, I'd like to congratulate you on having founded the African Association for Agroforestry. This has been something that's been very, very close to my heart. I have seen the difference that regional associations can make, notably in Europe, through the European Agroforestry Federation, and it fills me with joy to realize that now Africa is going to have a similar body to promote this practice forward. Because promoting it is something we have to do. Susan Chamba reminded us that science is always 30 years ahead, give or take, from what is happening on the ground. And I think the task that stands before us, that we've got to figure out how to deal with, is how to reduce that in some way. Having these federations that bring together scientists, researchers, policymakers, financiers, practitioners, representatives of farmers and farmers themselves is a brilliant way of doing so. It has worked in Europe, it's beginning to work in North America, and I'm looking forward to it working in Africa. Sheikh gave us a fantastic series of deep dives. And Sheikh played a trick on us, because these deep dives started by repeating the things that we all know, the doom and gloom that we wake up to when we scroll on our phones early in the morning. But then he came back to remind us how much the world is changing, and how much of that we don't see, because we use so many different words to describe what we do. Whereas industrial agriculture, or petrochemical agriculture as I like to call it, only uses two words: conventional agriculture and traditional agriculture, despite the fact that there is nothing conventional and nothing traditional about a form of farming that did not exist a century ago. That's because words matter. Marketing matters. One of the reasons why agroforestry is not spreading more rapidly is not just because trees take a while to grow. It's also because we don't have the right words to give that picture of hope to people who depend on farming for their living. Those are the smallholders of the world, of course, but also the big farmers. Even the big farmers in Europe and North America are always this close to bankruptcy and to losing their land to the bank. Being a farmer is the hardest job on the planet. It's the only job where you can be guaranteed to work 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, usually without vacations, to usually make less than minimum wage. And yet, it is the part of the economy that feeds us all. Figuring out how to help make their lives slightly less anxious, how to give them a good night's sleep, how to give them the tools they need to build in more resilience into their productions and into their lives, is an honor that I'm delighted to be a part of. Now, policymakers, and we have Your Excellency here, policymakers have a crucial role to play. They frame what's possible. We must marry the bottom-up approaches with what's coming to the top. When they get it wrong, catastrophe ensues. Minor reminded us of oil palm. What he did not mention is that for many years, over half the oil palm imports into the European Union were imported to make biodiesel. Just think of that obscenity. You roll back a natural rainforest, replace it by an intensive plantation in order to create an oil that powers our cars. That obscenity is only exceeded by the bioethanol mandate in the United States, where an area the size of New York State is now devoted to create an ethanol that you mix with fuel in order to power cars. Science keeps on ringing the alarm bell, and just this morning I came across a paper on PNAS showing that to have the same energy as coming out of all of that bioethanol in America, you would only need to convert 3% of that whole area to photovoltaic panels. We have technologies that can help us deal with the challenges that Sheikh put in front of us. Obviously, agroforestry is a potent one, but it's not the only one, and I find hope in that. Policy can get it wrong in all sorts of ways. My colleague Marwa Karambiri is in this room, and she is battling the problems of land tenure in the Western Sahel, where forestry departments are incentivized to make life difficult for farmers if they don't respect certain rules. Minor mentions the EU deforestation regulation. One map to rule them all, as a Namibian friend of mine says. If you are unfortunate enough to produce a good on a pixel that is decreed on that map to be forest, you suddenly have an enormous amount of bureaucracy you have to respect in order to continue exporting to you. Health and safety issues. Mixed farming in Europe is somewhere between difficult and impossible, because whether you have 1,000 cows or 1 cow, or 1,000,000 chickens or 1 chicken, you have to respect the same basic rules and regulation, and they are onerous. So my call to the policymakers is to not just listen to the science about how productive agroforestry can be, but listen to the science about how we should trust the farmers more. Give them the freedom to innovate. Give them the means to innovate. Give them the financial tools they need to innovate. And there, I'd like to give a shout out to an old friend of mine, Mel Landers, who's worked for decades in Central America and is now in Costa Rica after doing a lot of work in Nicaragua. And his innovation is as simple as it is brilliant. As Christian Duprat reminded us, agroforestry has to deliver immediately. You can't wait 30 years for a tree to grow in order to make your money. But we want farmers to adopt agroforestry. Well, here's a business idea. Rent the land from the farmer. They get a guaranteed income every month for a period of, say, 3 years. You then hire the farmer back to work that land that you're paying them for using the agroforestry and agroecology techniques you teach them. For 3 years, you benefit from that production. After all, you're renting the land from them. But after 3 years, the contract is fulfilled, the farmers gain back control over their land, and they have learned how to apply agroecology and agroforestry practices on their land. The likelihood that they will continue doing so, but now for their own profit, is very, very, very high. And that leads me to my final point. We tend to think of innovation as being these things. Millions of patterns going anywhere from quantum physics to obscure bits of material science that provide the little miracles we all carry in our pockets. But real innovation happens in our landscapes. Real innovation happens somewhere in a village in the Ferlo, somewhere in a village in eastern Niger, somewhere in a village near Kisumu, where a young person is waking up and says, I have an idea, and has the energy and the drive to make it through. Now, that young person we never hear about. That young person never becomes the next Elon Musk. And the reason for that is the environment in which they operate does not give them the basic tools they need to realize that idea. That starts with education systems that are deficient, logistical systems and transport networks that don't work, regulatory systems that, as we've just discussed, are not absolutely ideal. And perhaps best of all, worst of all, the fact that so few people master the basic business processes of managing cash flow, managing HR, managing marketing, in order to make that idea prosper and that idea grow. And that's the final point I'd like to leave you with. Yes, it's great to receive grant funding, but grant funding is a begging bowl, and I'm tired of begging. I want people in those landscapes to start making money from these interventions using innovative tools to help them. Together, we can begin to deliver what these innovative tools are. Together, we can begin to figure out how to spread them out at scale. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how we're going to be giving millions and perhaps even tens of millions of farmers a good night's sleep one day. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Worms. Another round of applause for him. Thank you for your remarks. Just to break up, the sequence of events a bit, we have something in store for you, and this is a little bit of entertainment before we close this official opening. And we've traveled from far and wide just to have a slice of Kinyarwanda culture. If I would kindly ask them to get started, and as they come in, let's give them a warm, warm round of applause. Thank you. Inganzo Ngari.
yego aramuka mama we yego izo ni imparambaye izo ni imparambaye mugabo rwarinda mugabo w'icumu ryaje uwo ni umurongi wawe wenda n'umugongo yego izo ni imbaraga zo kwa sebuyeje baza bakuzarigana amacumu arwanishaga mama we aho ni iwanyu bahu mama we aho ni iwanyu izo ni imparambaye izo ni imparambaye zo ku gikongoroye aha aho ni iwanyu bahungu aho ni iwanyu baraza bakuzarigana amacumu arwanishaga yego kwe mama we izo ni imparambaye baraza bakuzarigana amacumu arwanishaga baruka iramuka aho ye berwa ingabo nziza aho ni iwanyu izo ni impalamba zo kwa Samugeshi yego ye yagamwa yego yehi aha burakeye we yego burakeye mama mu gitondo burakeye mama nimukomere burakeye mama nimwebwe mukiri bato mukaba mukijyanye kana rya jambo ngo iwaramutira guma burakeye mama burakeye we burakeye mama nimukomere yego burakeye mama nimwebwe mukiri bato mukaba mukiri hamwe zirikana rya jambo waramutira guma burakeye mama yababahinga ye wororo yababahinga ye wororo yababahinga wabikizizi yagirwa n'ikiziriko bakirirwa bamuziritse babahinga wororo bona ndarandaranze mbura n'abacu babiri naho rero tubaruca inkaka bona ibintu babiragurutse bivuye mu biragaragara ntawe ndaribonye naho rero tubaruca inkaka yemwe bona mugwaragwara muguwe neza naho rero tubaruca inkaka naho rero tubaruca inkaka yemwe bona ndarangaranze urana bacu babiri naho rero tubaruca inkaka n'urutindi rugango ko ingane karongi n'umugabo wa nyirakabonye aho rero tubaruce nkaka yamwe abana inuma biragurutse bivuye mu biragaraga mu mango hondorero yebabahinga Wanyambuye agahukanye banyambika zirayomba yari inkanda ngo yimazwe n'ibariro yanyagirwa ikamwira yakumika kebimanze agiye kuvoma mena karindi agiye guhimba benyirahuku barizwa neke ndarizwa n'icapo n'agahinda yambuye agahukanye banyambika zirayomba yari inkanda ngo yitwe n'imibariro iranyagirwa ikamwera yakumika nkebimanze iyo wanyorereka abagenyi batuhurira bakemererwe hurira iyo wanyurireka yorereka kindi kinimba kuri birenge hiha iyo wanyerereka abahara wabo hurira iwacu n'icyumba hurira icyumba yabyumba hurira iyo wanyurireka yurireka kinagasiga nyamurarema ha iyo wanyorereka abagenyi tuhurira iyo wanyorereka abacemererwa hurira iyo wanyurireka yurireka kinagasiga nyamurarema babyina ikinimba nakuri ibirenge iyo wanyorereka iyo wanyorereka iyo wanyorereka u Rwanda rwagasaba burira iyo wanyorereka yorereka indi kinimba nakuri ibirenge iyo wanyorereka shema yaraje bagore beza babagore beza banyamurinda shema yaraje bagore beza babagore beza banyamurinda babagore beza banyamurinda kagira nyamurinda uraguza impinga shema ko yagiye iburagura abana kwa nyamuzinda iyo ko yasanze baragura bose shema ngarashinga baramuragurira shingi icumu mbikubwire yewe ndakubwira uko nabibonye shema yaje kabanyana kabako kabanyana kabako uguruka tugende
That, ladies and gentlemen, was Inganzongari. I don't know if you noticed the ode to agroforestry in the beginning of the dance. Did you notice that? Fantastic, fantastic innovation from Inganzongari. Without further ado, to give host country remarks for the 6th World Congress on Agroforestry, please help me welcome on stage our Honorable Minister of Environment, Dr. Bernadette Arakwiye.
Your Excellency, Haile Mariam Desalegn, the CEO of C4 Aircraft, members of the Diplomatic Corps, fellow agroforestry enthusiasts, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Mwiriweho neza, On behalf of the government of Rwanda, it is my great honor to welcome you to Kigali to the 6th World Congress on Agroforestry. This year's theme, Agroforestry for People, Planet, and Profit, reminds us why we are here. Agroforestry is not just a technical solution. It is a shared endeavor that brings together people, disciplines, and landscapes around a common purpose: to live well with our land and to live well from our land. Agroforestry, by its nature, is collaborative. It sits at the intersection of agriculture, forestry, livestock, and ecology. It connects agronomists and foresters, economists and policymakers, farmers and investors, all working together to build a productive and resilient landscape. And only by acting together, we can truly unlock agroforestry's full potential for people, for the planet, and for profit. Agroforestry is truly for people because it improves food and nutrition security, increases incomes, and builds the resilience of rural communities. In Rwanda, this spirit of collaboration is deeply rooted in our culture. Through Umuganda, our monthly community work, citizens come together to plant trees, care for terraces, and restore the land. It is a simple yet powerful reminder that ownership and permanence come from collective action. And we are building on this homegrown practice by integrating agroforestry into our sustainable landscape management frameworks. We are linking trees, tree planting with soil and water conservation, watershed protection, and food production, and therefore turning fragmented actions into coherent landscape restoration strategies that sustain both people and ecosystem. Agroforestry is also for the planet because it restores degraded lands, prevents erosion, enriches soils, protects watersheds, and brings biodiversity back to life. And in this way, agroforestry directly addresses the critical crisis that our planet is facing, that of climate change, biodiversity loss, and others. In our forthcoming updated Climate Action Plan, or our NDC 3.0, we have placed a strong emphasis on land-based solutions, including agroforestry, both as a means to adapt to a changing climate and to contribute to global mitigation efforts. And through the Rwanda Forestry Authority, we are enhancing the national capacity to produce and supply diverse, high-quality seeds and seedlings that support climate-smart, biodiverse, and productive agroforestry systems. We are also strengthening the institutions that manage these systems, formalizing nurseries as businesses, developing certification systems, and creating a reliable seed supply chain, especially for native species. And by doing so, we ensure that the future of agroforestry is not only ecological, but also economic and sustainable, where profit, permanence, and local ownership reinforce one another. And last and not least, agroforestry is for profit, but not just for financial profit. It creates values for farmer, for markets, and for society. Our 5 fruit trees per household initiative promotes fruit trees planting to improve nutrition, diversify income, and strengthen resilience at the household level. Yet, as we all know, good intentions also need strong financial foundations. And the funding landscape, unfortunately, is changing fast. International climate finance is evolving, and yet the scale of our ambition requires more investment, not less. And this is why we must look at agroforestry not as a cost, but as an investment one that can over time become self-financing. And there are tested pathways to achieve this. When we build value chains around fruit, timber, and non-timber forest products, when we link farmers to market for carbon credits, biodiversity credits, and other ecosystem services, and when we unlock opportunities for private sector engagement with incentives that work, agroforestry begins to pay for itself. In Rwanda, our Green Fund is already demonstrating this approach, supporting initiatives that link landscape restoration to entrepreneurship, value addition, and long-term impact. Ladies and gentlemen, the future of agroforestry will also be shaped by innovation. We now have access to advanced geospatial tools, artificial intelligence, and other technologies that help us plan and monitor landscape with precision. But these tools must go hand in hand with local knowledge, with the wisdom of farmers, nursery entrepreneurs, youth, and women cooperatives who make change happen every day. When data meets community insights, action becomes smarter, faster, and more enduring. And lastly, scaling agroforestry requires the right policies, institutions, and incentives to make it viable for farmers, attractive to investors, and measurable for governments. Our national strategy is anchored in strong policies, including an agroforestry action plan, which aims to address degraded lands by combating erosion, restoring soil health, and enhancing water retention. And across the world, and particularly in Africa, the opportunity for agroforestry is immense. We've heard this from the previous distinguished speakers. With vast areas of arable and degraded land and millions of farmers ready to act, agroforestry offers a path to restore ecosystems, strengthen rural economies, and secure food systems. With the right policies, incentives, and partnerships, we can achieve this vision. And so, as we come together for this Congress, I invite you all, researchers, farmers, policymakers, private sector leaders, and community representatives, to make this week in Kigali a moment of true collaboration. Let us share solutions that work. Let us learn from one another. Let us build new partnerships across disciplines, sectors, and continents. Let us work together to build a future where agriculture meets forestry, where communities meet markets, and where data meets local wisdom, and last, where profit meets purpose. May our discussions here in Kigali translate into actions that restore degraded lands, strengthen food systems, uplift livelihoods, and create sustainable agroforestry businesses model that endure. I am confident that together we can realize the full potential of agroforestry for people, for the planet, and for our shared prosperity. To conclude, I would like to thank everyone who played a role in bringing this Congress to life, and the partners and sponsors who have made today possible. We are grateful for your immense contributions and belief in the future of agroforestry. And it is now my great pleasure to declare the 6th World Congress on Agroforestry officially open. Murakoze cyane.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. We've now come to the end of today's official opening of the 6th Congress on the World Congress on Agroforestry. It's been an honor to be your Director of Ceremonies. My name is Dana Mpisi, And I really look forward to what the next 3 days will entail in terms of the outcomes and the tone that has been set, not only by our Honorable Minister, but our esteemed speakers and panelists. I'll just have a few announcements to make. We're going to have a press conference that will be held at the media room. And in this press conference, I'd like to invite Honorable Minister Dr. Eliane Ubadijoro and Patrick Worms. You will be ushered by our protocol teams to the media room. At session leaders who are going to be in charge of sessions over the next 3 days, please stay behind. You will be briefed. And last but not least, of course, we have to end today on a very positive note. We have a networking cocktail at 6 p.m. at the Virunga tent, organized for each and every one of you. I thank you. It's been an honor, and I wish the best fruitful deliberations for the next couple of days. Thank you.